Hi, everyone. My name is KJ, and I'm one of the academic coaches here at Naropa. I'm going to share a little bit from our workshop on befriending procrastination, transforming overwhelm with compassion. So our invitation here is to really reframe procrastination through a few different strategies. The first of which is developing an awareness of how you relate to procrastination. So noticing whether you like it or dislike it, want to push it away or grasp to it, or even ignore it. Another strategy is to then identify and be with any feelings in your body and your mind that are related to procrastination. Then once you are really taking the time to be with those feelings, offering yourself support with different strategies that we'll share in just a bit. And ultimately, each of these strategies at their center has this contact with inherent goodness and sanity. So instead of being aggressive towards ourselves for procrastinating and starting to internalize messages that are like, oh yeah, I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough, really kind of bringing curiosity to the experience of procrastination and remembering that underneath it, we are basically good and inherently sane. We really want to encourage you to reflect upon how social location and status power are intimately or can intimately be related to the experience of procrastination. Just like any other social space, as humans at Naropa, we are confronted with institutional dynamics and dominant cultural norms and expectations that can impact our sense of safety, belonging, and dignity based on our identities. And so really reflecting upon how our histories, how our cultural context impacts our relationship with academics and any experience of procrastination. And we invite you to sign up for sessions with academic coaches where we can explore these kinds of questions together. And so this whole befriending procrastination thing is about befriending yourself. I really like this question here on this slide. What if procrastination is a sacred opportunity to pause and reconnect? So we can wonder when we're experiencing procrastination, is there something coming up in me that's asking me to attend to something else, whether it is a sensation in the body and mind, or just something going on in our lives that we need to be with first, and then maybe give ourselves the space that we need to come back to our academic endeavors with some more clarity and compassion. And some things we can do here to befriend ourselves is getting back into our body, running, jumping, spinning, dancing, pausing to breathe with mindfulness. Also, just applying pressure to our arms, legs, and head can be really helpful. And even some creative artistic activities can be so helpful when we're experiencing procrastination to contact some spaciousness. So doodling and art can be great. Ultimately, just allowing more time for activities that are meaningful to you is really important as a student. Thanks y'all for listening, and we'll be sharing some more with you soon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Brace. I am a hybrid student in the MTC program and an academic coach here at Naropa. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video on setting yourself up for virtual hybrid learning. So we'll briefly discuss rituals and routines that will help for you. So understanding your inner spaces, creating your outer spaces, scheduling and time management. So inner places is a very important place to start. as you start this journey as a student here at Naropa, many of us are coming from very different places and different times of our life. And so really starting to think about, what is your identity as a student? Maybe you're bringing old narratives from the past about how you would identify as a student, what your strengths were, what your weaknesses were. And so really being curious about how that identity will evolve, what you might need to shed, and then learn about yourself as a student at this point in your life. What kind of learner are you? What does your self-talk sound like? What is your why for being in school? What brought you to this place? What helps you stay motivated? And how do you navigate challenges? What happens in our inner spaces around these questions really has a lot of influence over our overall success as a student. Outer spaces, so important for virtual learning. So really starting to think about your outer spaces as you embark on this journey as a hybrid or virtual learner. So really starting to bring some curiosity and learning about where you study best. Consider setting up a sacred space for studying in Zooms where you can optimize concentration and focus. That word sacred is there as often we have plants around us, or we light a candle, we have music, something that really brings joy to that space that we'll spend a lot of time in. Do you prefer silence or noise? This is really different for everyone. How do you relate to distractions? Distractions often has a bad tone or connotation, but it doesn't have to, as long as they're not leading you to procrastination. And then thinking about a system for organization. When we don't have organization, it can lend itself to feeling a bit chaotic. And when we feel chaos, we sort of turn away from that, which can again lead to procrastination. And so how do we set some systems up for organization so that we really feel compelled and ready to begin studying and then sustain that studying practice as well? And then just some tips for virtual learning, really taking movement breaks. These blue light blocking glasses really help with eye fatigue and headaches. Allowing yourself some eye rest. So taking 20 seconds to look outside at nature, a plant, or something natural. And then closing or minimizing tabs that can lead to distraction. Scheduling and time management. So as a virtual learner, it's so important to approach your week with intentionality. So for me on Monday mornings, I list all of my assignments for that week, and then scheduling your study times based on the assignments that are due, scheduling your group work, project times. And then an option I have for you here is using a Pomodoro timer, which allows you to take big tasks and put them into small chunks of time. And it guides you through a work and rest or break time. And then making sure to schedule your self-care routines and really honoring them. So lastly, I just want to say, as you start this journey, be curious. And it's safe to try and experiment and figure out what works best for you. And then lastly, just being kind and gentle to yourself as you begin this new path. If at any time you have any questions, you can always email me at christian.brace@naropa.edu, or you can always visit the academic coaching page and sign up to meet with any of the amazing coaches that are here for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope it was helpful.
Hi everyone, my name's Swecha and I'm one of the academic coaches, and I am currently a graduate student in the second year of my contemplative psychotherapy program. So now that we have looked at some of the ways in which we can relate to procrastination and relate to ourselves around procrastination, I want to take some time to really look at the roots. So looking at why we procrastinate, if there's any wisdom behind procrastination, and some of the ways in which we can bring self-awareness around our patterns, and similarly some mindfulness-based strategies that we could use. So why do we procrastinate? As human beings, our brains are hardwired to seek out pleasure and avoid things that feel unpleasant and uncomfortable. So procrastination is actually this evolutionary way in which our mind is trying to keep us safe from things that feel daunting and dangerous. And while this can feel overwhelming, frustrating, and add a lot of stress to our lives, studies have also shown that people who procrastinate oftentimes have higher intellect and are more prone to divergent and creative thinking. Studies have also shown a correlation between procrastination and perfectionism, which is very counter to this mainstream judgment that people have around procrastination and laziness. Now, I'm not advocating for procrastination, but this stigma around procrastination can create feelings of shame, which then paired with the negative self-talk of perfectionism can create feelings of overwhelm, anxiety, agitation, frozenness, which then further cements our habit of procrastination. So actually having some positive associations around it can be helpful. Another antidote to this can be compassion and self-awareness. So here is a simple practice you can do anytime you may have an urge to procrastinate. Finding a comfortable position in a place that feels relatively safe, really landing in your body and noticing if there are any sensations, feelings, or thoughts associated with this urge to procrastinate. And then noticing how you're responding to this experience, bringing awareness to any beliefs that you may have about your capability, about the value and worth of the work you produce, and seeing if you can really bring an attitude of non-judgment to this experience, seeing if you can bring compassion to your experience. What this can do is it can grow your ability to be with these difficult feelings, whereas procrastination is about avoiding things that feel overwhelming and feel like they create anxiety for us. Growing in our ability to be with these difficult emotions can loosen up some of that pattern. And then similarly, looking at tasks that feel daunting and breaking them down into smaller steps. When you approach tasks that are huge and unrealistic, you're setting yourself up for failure and further cementing this pattern, further creating this experience of overwhelm around task completion. However, when you break down tasks, you create opportunities for celebrating small victories, which can create more positive experiences around task completion. And then there's the motivation piece, right? So when we do our assignments, we are oftentimes concerned with grades, or we're thinking about how our peers or our professors are perceiving our work. And while this can feel rewarding, right? This is like external motivation. While this can feel rewarding, it's also very short-lived. However, we also have a reserve of internal motivation within us. As children, for example, we didn't really need external validation to do things. We felt genuinely happy, we felt joy, we felt excited, we felt passionate to do these things. So seeing if we can bring some of this back, trying to really remember why you're here, why you're taking this course, why you're at this school, and seeing if you can bring this curiosity and passion around learning. And then thinking of your future self. Whereas procrastination is this pattern of like really piling up worry for your future self to deal with, seeing if you can think about how any action that you take right now, any choice that you make right now, has repercussions for your future self. Studies have shown that this developing a relationship to your future self really helps with this habit of procrastination. And then if you're going to procrastinate, do it with intention. As KJ was pointing out towards the beginning of this presentation, procrastination can actually point to some need that you may have that's not being met. So maybe there's a need for connection, a need for rest, a need for nourishment. Maybe you need to go out and do something that feels joyful before you feel prepared to come back and complete your task. And that's completely okay, again, right? Like compassion, space, curiosity. And then finally, asking for help, knowing that you're not alone in this experience of procrastination, that a lot of people deal with it, and that you could reach out. You don't have to do it alone. You could reach out to your peers, you could reach out to your academic advisors, and we are here as a resource too. So using the academic coaching team if you need it. Yeah, so I hope this was helpful. Again, just bringing this more space, curiosity, and compassion to this experience of procrastination. And then, yeah, please reach out to us if you need help with any of your academic challenges. Thank you.